If you've made a bowl, that's great. Remove the bowl from the wheel head, place it on the rack, and put your sticky note on it to identify your piece before you leave. Another possibility may be that you've worked with your piece of clay and can no longer go on. That's okay, you'll do better next time. Remove the clay by running the wire through it and putting it off to the side. Use your rib to scrape this scab of clay off and place it into the bucket of water. Take your sponge, squeeze it out tightly, hold still, and let the sponge clean the wheel. Okay? Once your bat is cleaned by using both sides, please remove it and put it off to the side and put it back where you found it. Next, we're going to take the bat gripping pad and squeeze it out thoroughly and put that off to the side as well. Next, I'm going to take my sponge and squeeze it out tightly and pull it across my fingers, and then also flip it over and pull it across the back of my wrist to quickly clean my hands. Next, I squeeze out my sponge very tightly, almost like an upside down clam. Pull tightly on one half of the rim, flip the sponge over, pull tightly on the other half of the rim, scooping chunks of clay into the bucket of water. Don't over clean. Do the same thing on the rim, one direction, flip it over, the other direction after you flipped it over with a clean sponge. Try not to go back and forth, re-squeeze out your sponge, go in one direction, look how quick that is. Squeeze out your sponge really tightly again. Hold gently and try not to press down too hard. There's little pins on the edge, don't hurt your hands or rip up the sponge. Go over the edge if you can, that helps. When you're done, please shut off the power. Good job. Next, squeeze out your sponge yet again. Okay. We're going to start cleaning our tools now, so pull your tools through your clean sponge and let the clay pull into the clean sponge. It goes very quickly. Place it into your box. I'm going to be speeding up the video to show you that I'm just pulling the tools through the sponge and letting it clean. And then I also rinse out my sponge as necessary to finish the job of cleaning my tools. Once all the tools are in the box, we'll then squeeze out the sponge one more time and clean the top of our box. We'll put the tools off to the side and replace them on top of our cart for the day of our class later on. Next, I'm going to squeeze my sponge out one more time. I know you're getting tired of me saying that, but it's really important. Loosen your wheel head by shimmying back and forth and remove the wheel head, turning it upside down and try not to touch the bottom of it or the spindle. Squeeze out your sponge, or take your sponge rather in one hand, take your splash pan and pour the clay and the water into the bucket. Rest the splash pan on the bucket while you use your sponge in one direction as far as you can to clean. Flip it over and go in one direction as far as you can. This keeps the clay from respreading back and forth. Return your splash pan back to where it was. Squeeze out your sponge tightly. Grip the sponge tightly. Press down nice and hard on the splash pan on the inside. Rotate and scoop up clay. Don't use the sponge again, and do that again. Sometimes it takes maybe 2 or 3 times of doing this. Okay? Once you're done cleaning the inside of the splash pan, with a clean sponge, just hold still on the outside of the splash pan and rotate the splash pan, letting the sponge do all the cleaning. Hit the sides as well. Try to be thorough. When you're done with the sponge, take your towel and repeat this process, holding still and spinning the splash pan. This takes off the haze. You're doing a great job. We're almost done. Once I've cleaned my splash pan, I'm picking up my wheel head and gently placing it onto the spindle. It'll go into place automatically. Finally, I'm going to pat down anything that might be wet. I'm going to pick up my towel, my sponge, and my bucket and go to the final cleanup stage.